Hello, everybody. Welcome to the newest episode of the Theater Enthusiast podcast. I'm very excited to welcome our next guest. He and I have not seen or spoken to each other in many, many moons. I think that's appropriate to say, but I'm excited he's here. He is the founder and director of Craig and Co., which is a really cool production company based in LA, but I'm sure you do other places as well, which we'll definitely get into. Please welcome Mr. Craig Newman. Woo, yeah. Do you want to amp yourself up a little bit? Like, what? Or is it too early where you are?
I'm shooting like the socks into the crowd. That's what I'm doing,
That's new socks. You usually hear t-shirts, not socks.
Yeah, I tend to change lyrics to songs accidentally. I change t-shirts to socks.
Oh, isn't that like a very dad thing? I would say mom, but you're a guy.
Yeah, I think it's probably a dad thing. Not that I have the old children yet, but maybe I'm stepping into the dadhood one
Oh, do you
sock at
have
a time.
any nieces or nephews?
So many. I have four in South Africa and two in LA.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I have one niece who my sister just texted that she tried Nathan's hot dogs for the first time and she loved it. So
It's great
there
to
we
be able
are.
to live through kids,
Yeah.
especially when you have dreams of your own that you never get to live out yourself.
Yeah. Well, maybe one day,
One
right?
day, someday,
One day.
yes.
Yeah. So, Craig, how are you? I mean, I know we chatted before, but let's chat on the podcast. You're good. You just celebrated your 21st plus birthday.
Yeah, I had my birthday on Thursday, March 28th. It's been a
So, for
birthday
those
week.
listening, every year around that time, they'll just have to send you a message on your birthday
Please do.
through Craig
I'll
and Co
send me,
website.
yeah, I'll send you my mailing address and we could do like the old epistolary
Yeah.
form. We can throw it back, way back.
Yeah. They'll send you a
Um,
t-shirt that says this is really socks, not a t-shirt.
then that person and I would become friends, and I look forward
Yeah.
to this.
And then the socks would be like, these aren't socks, these are a t-shirt.
That sounds, and I would wear nothing else for the next, at least on my birthday, and that would be the birthday suit.
Or I think that should be like Craig and Co merch, like Craig and Co, like on the side. You can start selling merchandise, or like when you and your team are working on set somewhere, that would be
Hmm.
your uniform.
It sounds fun. I love it. I love it. These are what makes me feel good is thinking about all the good things that will come next. I will say that. So yes, I'm doing good because we're now actively dreaming, which is
Mhm.
a great activity.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very good at manifesting things on here for people, so we've only just begun.
Let's go. What's next?
I don't know, let's keep talking. So, Craig, where are you from?
I was born in Miami, Florida, so my folks are both from there, but my stomping grounds are in Atlanta, Georgia.
Mhm.
So that's where I went to elementary school and middle school and high school. Then I ultimately went to college there at Emory University. We had the good fortune that my mom did marketing for the hospital, and so both my sisters and I, we all ended up there, and it made that decision very easy.
Yeah, and you studied film studies there?
I did film studies. I basically did a film studies major, a theater studies minor, and then I was pre-med as well.
Oh, that's interesting.
Hmm.
And your parents were like, yeah, film studies, it's fine. Did you do the pre-med because that was what you were interested in, or was that your quote unquote backup to appease your parents?
I think when I started college, not I think, I know for a fact, I just only imagined that there were three things to do, go to grad school. So it's either you go to med school, you go to B school, or you go to law school.
Mhm.
And those are the only directions I had actually set up in my mind as reality. And, you know, the movie, The Motorcycle Diaries came out right around my senior year of high school. And I really loved that movie. And I thought, I'm great at science. I'm great at science, whatever. I'm good at science and math. At least by the books, I'm not great on at the lit stuff. So I'll be a doctor and I'll, you know, give to people. That seems more honorable. So that's how that started. It was really that had nothing to do with them, though. They set up my mind from day one and built it. And then now I've had 15 years or so without them to make it my own.
Making your way in the
Yeah.
world. So what got you interested in film and theater and all of that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, from the jump a long time ago, it was. I think like the easiest way to explain it to me is it has nothing to do with film and theater, but has to do with the feeling.
Hmm.
Uh, and I think the feeling is like one of actually of like self-determination. So like weird moments in my life where like, I played sports growing up and I loved playing sports. And I'd watch like someone who's great at sports, like a Michael Jordan, and then I would do a layup and I'd be like, oh, I just like I could felt like Michael Jordan come through. It was like in my body as like an experience. Like later in life, if you do drugs or something, you probably feel like I'm somebody else. Like that from early on in life would happen in these sort of flickers and flashes in moments. And I remember going to I was forced to go to a symphony once, and I was like, this is disgusting, this classical music. I'm so opposed to this. I'm going to give myself a fever. I'm going to make myself sick. And then I did. I got sick. And so it was kind of this like, these feelings that I could sort of shift reality were uh, very sexy and very powerful feelings as a kid. And so then later on, I started to discover like, oh, I was in a band, played the drums and band in high school. So it was this sort of really fun, creative thing. And I was like, oh, there's this other way of living, which is creative, which is kind of relates to that experience of transformation. And then little by little, I was dancing with making movies, I guess you'll call it, but really just like videos.
Mhm.
I got a camera and I was, running around making little videos and editing them on iMovie. And then we made a music video for our band senior year of high school. And I went to this uh, interview with John Robert Powers, which I'm sure is out of business because it was a total fucking, are curse words allowed?
Yes.
It was this total fucking con job of an agency. They just like, give us $300 and we'll get you started as an actor. And I went, but my mom must have been there as well. And I was like, okay, this feels weird. So then I talked to a friend whose parents were both actors when they were younger, and they were like, that's a total hoax. Don't do that. Just go get headshots and begin your life.
Hmm.
And so then this idea of like theater opened up. And honestly, not until I went to college and I did I think it was freshman year, I got an invitation from Molly Taxi, which is a great name.
Yeah.
Uh,
Are
this
they
this
still around working?
Molly is the principal, or like on her way to being the principal of schools and school systems in LA.
That's cool.
Her hubby is a filmmaker and a buddy. They're both great. And and yeah, so she was like, "Hey, this kid dropped his play, it's student theater. Uh, for whatever reason, I think you'd be great in it. Would you want to do it?" And instantly, I was flushed with fear. And then one moment later, I just said yes. And it was Tom Stoppard's Arcadia. It was the
Oh,
role of
who did you
Gus.
play?
Gus.
Okay. I know that show fairly well, and I worked it a lot when I was on Broadway many moons ago.
Oh, really?
And I actually interviewed a few months back somebody who was in that production.
Well, I was not in that production. I was in the
Well, no, you were in a production, so kind of like we're good. Keep
fl
going. Yeah,
yes,
we're
flashes and flickers and echoes. And so I did this play, playing Gus, who was like this, mute, sort of genius piano player in one thing, and then a bratty brother in the other time period.
Mhm.
And it was just like this incredible release, and also I like walked into an experience which extended that flicker and flash I'd had as like a young athlete. Not that I was an athlete, but I was a young kid running around feeling like I was something. And then this was like, oh, this is that feeling, but now I can just do it because this is what people do for a living, even. And so then I realized like what acting was and like how fun it was. And
Mhm.
so that's when that whole my life started to shift. And I finished my pre-med, I did all that. But from that moment on, I was doing theater and then I was doing filmmaking, and it kind of really just opened up that part of my brain and uh, made me choose well, not made me choose. It was the moment where I thought this is going to be a better, more meaningful life. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing now.
So what happens after college?
I get a job at a TV production company making non-union TV, like those reenactment TV shows with NYPD cops telling stories about all the crazy shit they've done and seen.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of docuseries about that right now.
Yeah, yeah. So this was, yeah, that was, I forget the name of it right now. Watching the Detectives, it was called.
Okay. Never
And
heard
so I
of
was
it.
like,
It's okay.
no, it was a wash.
Hmm.
Um, but it follows the same setup as all the other ones. So yeah, so I moved to New York with it was called X-Fares.
Hmm.
ValueJet, I think was the airline, no longer around. But if you were between 22 and 26, you could get a 69 or $59 one-way ticket on standby. And so yeah, on a Tuesday morning when I was editing a project in Atlanta, I got a phone call from a producer in New York saying we got your email. We start shooting on Friday. Can you be here on Thursday? And I was
Oh.
like, sure. So I like packed literally I had a backpack with like white t-shirts and jeans because
Hmm.
that was my uniform in life. And
Yeah.
then I moved to New
I
York.
remember. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then yeah. So that's how I got there. And then I met you when if again, I guess this is my life. Like it more and more it should be choices made and decisions in directionality. But in those days, it was like, hey, I got a phone call from my friend Stephanie Abel Horowitz, and she was like, uh, no one, I don't know anyone in New York who can do this role. And are you around? Would you do this? I think
Mhm.
you could do this. And I was like, okay. And
That place
so,
was, yeah, that place was a mess, but yeah.
yeah, and that's how did my first play in New York on 13th Street, 13th
That
Street
was your
Rep.
first play in New York.
Yeah, with you. Yeah.
Oh, and here we are.
And here we are.
Yeah. I think we closed the first act and then everyone like from the first act was like, peace out, we're going home. And then we did, and it was great.
Oh my God, I'm sure that's true. I do remember people clapping at the end of one of the shows or some moment, and I was like, this is cool.
Yeah.
Maybe they always clapped. I just remember it once.
I don't know. I don't remember. I just remember we had one of the best ones and yeah.
It
And I
was
think
back when the
cats on my shirt. I'm trying to remember it. It's
Mhm.
like slowly coming back. And then Stephanie's roommate at the time came out and played the guitar whenever you like entered the stage, the
Hmm.
Spanish guitar thing.
Yeah, I was a white boy named Enrique at a time when that was still allowed to happen.
Yeah. You were a character that came alive from a romance novel, and I was 21 playing like a 45-year-old. So, everything was believable back then.
No suspension at all. It was perfectly
Mention of
believable.
time at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you started to get involved in like other theaters and you were teaching. So how did that come about? Because you were very big on training and teaching in Michael Chekhov, I believe.
Yeah, in those days for sure. Yeah,
Hmm.
I was very adamant that I was like didn't want to go to theater school.
Hmm.
Uh, I just didn't want someone to impose their systems on me. And when I moved to New York with in my book bag, and I remember talking to a guy sitting next to me. He's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Moving to New York." He's like, "Wow." I was reading my on the technique of acting, sort of bluish, yellow, purple Michael Chekhov book, and he's like, "What's that? Are you an actor?" And I was like, "Yeah, amongst the, yeah, I am." But I said it quietly, because to me it was like this sort of this sort of like to be like great artist, it's like you have to you have to do a lot, you have to earn it, which is a whole different self-sabotaging obstacle setting journey that I think my 20s and my early 30s was about, where it was like the only person preventing me from doing what I want to do is me. But yes, and so that book and his approach of being like, it's your imagination and it's endless. And you just
Was
have
he
to show.
also an actor, this guy, or what was?
Well, no, not that guy, but Michael Chekhov.
Okay.
Yeah, but Michael Chekhov's point of view. And at some point in the book, it says like when you're on stage, you have to have the power of 100 men and women. Like you should be able to cast some feeling, some radiate some energy that's that
Hmm.
immense. And I just thought, man, what a magical pursuit. Um, versus the drumming and drilling into myself and of like a sort of Strasberg-esque approach and those different things that I'd read about and danced with. And I just thought, it's just not for me.
Do you think that people should have some sort of technique going in, or do you think it whatever works for whomever?
I think the best thing that you can do is just work. And I think the worst thing, and this is also why I was against classes, is because if you treat it, if you treat it as like a halfway thing that you're playing around with, then the habit becomes halfway. So then when the work comes, you're going to bring the habit into it. And then you have to break that. And then you're like, you're not nearly where you should be. And you're not being respectful of what the work demands. And so that kind of way of being and system of working, I just was like vehemently against, and I am to this day. But I just don't do that every day anymore.
Yeah. So when you were, so I just, I apologize, this sounds cruel,
Yeah.
but you
No.
were very against taking classes, but then you ended up teaching.
Yeah. Well, no, not again. Yeah, exactly. Um, I guess what I was against was going to school for a certain amount of time to somehow be taught to do something. Like you had to find a way to, so I mean, work with people that are as good or quote unquote better than you, so you can learn things. And
Hmm.
if there's, teachers or people that can do that, then like wonderful. And those people exist. But there's also people that try to tell you that this is the wrong way and this is the right way. And that is where I was like, in this world, which is the creativity world, like where you're generating and imagining, like
Hmm.
there is no right or wrong.
So what was it like if, let's say I was in one of your classes, what would
Yeah.
your technique or teaching be like? And do you still teach, or is it kind of like you're
No,
constantly
I haven't in a while. I mean, it was like iterating on Chekhov exercises. So it was a lot of movement. It
Mhm,
was a lot of sort of active imagination, um, putting imagination into your body and into movement and into interaction. And
mhm,
I feel like my style was very much like go and then keep going until not till you're exhausted, but kind of like eliminate the thinking mechanism and the critical mechanism. Because
mhm,
again, for me, that's like super strong. Like the critic, I can walk myself. I can convince myself that what I'm doing is not right or not is wrong.
mhm,
Right. So it's not like I'm against classes. It's like I'm against this part of myself, which I see echo and like get stimulated by certain places and classes and certain teachers. And so it was very like, let's launch, let's play, music, movement. Um, can you express through the body and beneath the neckline and let that sort of generate quote unquote, scene, whatever ends up happening. So, I mean, that's a vague answer, but it was all kind of thrust that direction.
Got it. So what was it like being a working actor in New York during that time? I mean, you said you did your first play in New York with me, which I had no idea all these years later. But then, like I said, I saw you do a
Mm.
Shakespeare play. So what was it like being a working actor in New York?
I mean, it's like such a funny term, working actor. I mean, I definitely was not making a living from doing it. I mean, I was living in an apartment that cost $400 a month with a sliding door where I would, sleep on a yoga mat and then roll it up and then be able to sit at my desk because that's what I wanted to do. I didn't want a full-time job. I wanted to be able to do the things I was doing. Um, so what was it like? Yeah, I don't know. What I think of Allison is like a friend of mine recently was like, "Oh, you heard this quote where this guy's talking about living in New York, and he's like, it's dead. It's just completely dead. Like it used to be this place, and but now it will never be that place for like creativity and artists ever again." And I was like, I mean, it sounds super very familiar. He's like, "Yeah, it was from like 1886," and I think for me when I was there, there was like you're fighting against that. There was kind of this the people I met, where I met you, like a lot of the people, I feel like a lot of sort of like people gone to NYU and were kind of jaded. So I kept thinking like, all right, where's the fuego around here? Where are the people that are fired up? And so the working actor thing was like, it's a bit of a lonely journey, I would say, because I wanted to find people I admired. And for me in that part of my life, that journey in New York, there weren't that many of them. Um, So I don't know. That's kind of a dark answer, but that's also why I ended up leaving. Because I just thought the circles I'm in, I'm not inspired, and the doors I'm knocking on aren't opening. So
Mhm.
let's shift.
So what made you decide to move to LA?
I was in a long relationship with somebody, and I I wanted to leave. I think she was kind of like, I think I want to stay. And I was like, well, let me. It ended up being like 6.5 years. So I was like, let me go and visit my sister. I was producing these videos for a nonprofit called America's Promise Alliance, where we'd make these honoree videos. They were really fun. So I'd interview people like, Magic Johnson, or just different folks who were super philanthropic and that, gave a lot in that space.
Mhm.
And I was like, I could do this from anywhere. So let me go to LA for 30 days and see how I
Mhm.
like it. And very quickly, I just felt like at home, in a way that I was trying to force New York to be, and trying to force myself into, but it just didn't feel right. And then my decision was made. And then me and that gal separated and broke up. Uh, I guess I would say officially, unofficially divorced, because we did get married in a church, but we never got legally married.
Okay,
It was a church in Mexico, so it didn't count for.
got it.
Okay. So,
Okay.
um, there's a whole story there.
Sidebar. Yeah.
Yeah, I made a whole, made a whole film about it. Um,
And where can people, is that released? Can people watch it? You can
no,
promote your stuff on here. Come on, like, where can they
yeah, I'll
watch
send
it
you.
on like Amazon? Like,
You'll have to update the link when it gets released sometime this year.
yeah, of
'Cause there's,
course.
um, but yeah, so that's how I ended up in LA. I thought I want to start planting roots, and those roots, I don't want them in New York. I want them in LA.
Yeah. So then how did Craig and Co. come about?
Yeah, same time period. I'd been sort of permalancing as like a producer, director, editor, camera operator for a production company in New York. And then I was working for a different production company in DC, making these honoree videos and other sort of fun, creative videos.
Well, hold on,
And
let's back up a little bit. So before we go
okay.
into Pinko, so for those
Yeah.
listening, if they want to get into production, how does
Okay.
one go about getting started with that? Because you've directed, you've produced, you've starred in all of these shorts, and
Mm.
you've also done like some commercial. You were in a yogurt commercial.
Oh my
You
gosh,
were
that was like
something
10
else,
years ago.
right?
Yeah, yogurt.
Like I
Um,
do my research, and if I know people and I'm like, oh, I know that person, and they're on my television, I remember those things.
that's great.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I think there's two ways to go about it, I guess. There's like again, I didn't go to grad school for that because I was like, I just want to learn. Just like wanted to, I don't know, I just had this like old school idea in my mind that the way to learn is just to do it. It's not old school, but it just, I don't know, it just felt, I
It's
think
not
also like my parents worked, my
even.
parents, yeah, I think I was like, I grew up, I guess you'd call it upper middle class. And I was like, I don't want to be given this, you know? I want to feel like I'm earning it. And like, there was a level of like self-respect that I couldn't get behind if I
Did
somehow
you
walked. Yeah.
Would you say your parents were supportive in you wanting to pursue that
No.
career?
At
No?
first, no, not at all. They were like, it's not even like to support something, there's two ways. Like you could, if you understand it, then you can help somebody because you're like, oh, I see where you are. How about this? How about this? In this case, like my parents don't know anything about like creativity or the arts in terms of the professional
Mhm.
path. So then there's the other version of that, which is like just blind support, like we love you and be happy, which they also had a very hard time with because they were like, you're being dumb. You're a smart young guy. You can become a doctor. You can serve the world and have an easier life. Why are you making it hard? And so until they accepted that I just wanted to do it my way. There was conflict. It was probably 5 years. I'd say around 27, 28. They slacked a little bit. And then I would probably say around 34, 35, I had like a big conversation with my dad where I was just like crystal clear about why I'm doing what I'm doing and how it's a very active choice to kind of change the path of of our family line in the way that I see necessary for me. And he was like, "Oh, okay. Well, you're your own person. I didn't quite realize." And my mom's like, "I love you. Be happy." And that's my mom.
You find it interesting that, I shouldn't get like too personal on the podcast, but like I get it. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah,
It's
yeah.
like an off podcast conversation, but yeah, yeah. Anyway,
Mm.
so you come to LA and then you said around this same time is when Craig and Co was, or do you still want to talk about like how you got involved with all these production company stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I guess like for me, literally when I was 22, I was like, I'm gonna be an actor. I want to be a director. And I was working in production as a PA and sort of as like as a producer. That title sort of is typically at the top, but everyone who's working for producer is also producing. So I
Mhm.
was organizing and making the phone calls and making the call sheets and doing all the stuff for the TV show. And it was like a very like mechanical operational job.
Mhm.
And at some point, the people I was working for were like, do you know if we have this much money, if we make each episode for this amount, we'll be able to just pocket this amount. And I was like, oh man, I was like, that's the same thinking of like any other business. And I was like, I just don't want to like train my brain like that.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't want to produce. I was like, so then I was like, let me get into teaching. That's how I started getting teaching acting. Let me get more into editing and shooting so that one day when I'm 40, I'll actually know how to direct. Like I'll know how to do all of the
Was
things
that
as
your
opposed
goal,
to
like at 40, start directing? You didn't want to do,
100%.
okay. But
Very
you did
crystal
it
clear.
sooner.
Well, I started doing it sooner, but I was like, by that time, I want to be able to actually professionally be trusted by someone with money to say, you've 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 earned the title, not because you're a kid genius, but because you've done the things and you know what everyone's doing and you can be respectful and carry the weight of this thing.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. And I started doing it in all the little ways I could. Uh I shot a web series episode for some people one day. They ended up getting like whatever a big chunk of money to make it a series for a station online. And they were like, Craig, will you be our DP? And I was like, I shot that one thing. Like, I'm not a director of photography. They're like, yeah, but you were great and you were fun. So we want you to do it. And I was like, okay, as long as I can have a gaffer, which is the person that does the lights on every suit, shoot. And in my mind, I was like, I'll get someone who actually knows how to shoot, how to light, like really well. And so then for like 6 months every weekend, Saturday and Sunday, that's what I was just DPing a web series and always had a gaffer who was, did that professionally. And I like learned how to light and learned how to shoot, and got paid to do it versus going to school to pay to do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like that. And then editing, and then, oh, can you edit this? I edited that. Oh, can you edit this feature film? I'm like, sure. And cool. So I edited a feature. It's like, okay, now I spent hundreds of hours doing that, got better at that. And then eventually I, made my first short, which was, you know, very poorly produced, but was a passionate moment. Um and yeah, and so then I learned from that. So it's just like this series of like learning on small projects, moving to slightly bigger projects. And then eventually when I came here, I was like, man, I wish I had my own company. Like I wish I'd grown up more, or someone to give me the chance. I had this very like crystal clear realization where I was like, I built this entire thing myself. So the only person that's going to promote me is me.
Hmm.
All right, so let's go start a company. And then I did. And then pretty quickly it was, I found the web designer and I used my person who does animation and kind of built it as like a team. So it's not just Craig, but Craig and Co, CCO. Um, and then went hunting for work, and then by word of mouth, some things came, and then that turned into other stuff, and you know, then that's how it happened. So that's like the production producing journey.
Yeah. So why don't you talk a little bit about Craig and Co, what you guys or all of you, because I know you have many different types of people who work for you, what the company actually does.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's not doing much because I ended up taking a full-time gig a little over a year ago for a big company corporation making videos and photo and commercials.
Is that the
Um,
place that you're like, I don't know if we can talk about it, but we can talk about it?
no, no, yeah, it's so I live in LA. The creative offices for Sphere Entertainment are
Mhm.
in Los Angeles, but the building, which is Sphere, is in Las Vegas.
Mhm. which I think
And
everybody knows. So
yeah, yeah. So I'm sort of, yeah, I mean, I guess my title's not online. I have no idea. But yeah, director of production at Sphere is what I do these days.
so if anybody wants free tickets to see you two at the Sphere, they can just get in touch with you and be like, "What's up?"
If
Go.
U2 comes back, yeah, they can get in touch for the next two announced bands, which are Fish and Dead Go.
Yeah, I I know it. Harry Styles goes there, Coldplay, The Who, Billy Joel, Elton John. Well, Elton John's retired now, and I saw him 2 years ago.
Mm.
I just saw Billy Joel on your birthday, actually.
At MSG,
Mhm.
at Madison
That
Square
was
Garden.
actually my birthday gift was tickets to Billy Joel and ended up being his 100th performance residency.
Sick.
So they filmed it and it's going to air on CBS. So Jerry Seinfeld came out and presented him with a banner, and then Sting came out and they sang two songs together.
That sounds like the best possible night you could have gone.
Yeah. And then Colin Jost was 4 rows in front of us, and my friend and I were freaking out.
It's,
Great.
it's a dream. It's a dream.
Yeah. And it was great. I mean, I didn't feel like a member of the Brat Pack like you did on your birthday, but it was up there.
Yes, that's amazing. I mean, yeah, I've never been like a huge like concert guy, but now that like after post COVID, like going to
Yeah.
live things and like making eye contact with people while something amazing's happening and being like, you're here too? We're here. We're doing it.
Yeah.
Feels very special.
I mean, do you feel that way about were you ever a person to go see live theater? Because I remember like you're big into movies, but do you have the same feeling about seeing theater shows?
Yeah, I mean, it was for me, it was like it was like more certain people that I was inspired by.
Mm.
So like when oh my God, what's his name? Not Jeffrey Wright. Uh, who's the Aussie guy? He was in Exit the King,
Oh,
um,
my God. Jeff,
King's Speech.
yes, hold on. It's coming to me and I have it and I see his face and I can't think of it. And it's gonna bother me, so I'm gonna have to Google it. Talk
Go for
amongst
it.
yourselves. I did not see Exit the King, but I heard it was great.
Yeah, I sat like on the second row and I just watched this man just control the space so effortlessly and so joyously. I was like, man, this is amazing. This guy, and he was already an older dude,
Hmm.
but he was so beautiful to watch. And so that
Uh,
kind of
it's Jeffrey Rush.
Jeffrey Rush. Yeah. When Jude Law did Hamlet, I went, I paid
Oh my God.
$116.
He was the best part of that show. I thought the girl who played Ophelia, I thought was terrible.
I don't remember the production at all, but I sat way far to the left. And I honestly, I was like, yeah, me same. I was like, this guy is just giving it everything. Like,
Yeah. I will say my friend and I just saw the National Theater Live production that they released of Andrew Scott's One Man Uncle Vanya.
yeah, I heard about this.
I might actually see it again either Sunday or Monday. It was incredible.
Okay, so I'll
Yeah.
watch that then.
If it ever comes, I don't know if you can watch it online, I'm sure, or if it comes out to LA.
I don't know, but someone last weekend, I think last weekend or maybe the weekend before was watching it. They were like, hey, I got a ticket, come watch.
Mhm.
But someone like that too, like Andrew Scott, like I would love to see what he would do. Like obviously Seawall. Yeah, there you
Yes.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, like to see him do Seawall, I think would be really amazing. I'd
And
rather
I think they have the monologue or something on
it's
YouTube. It's Hamlet's on YouTube.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But like, like do I Seawall? Yes, I like the play. Do I want to see Jake Gyllenhaal do it? Personally, for whatever reason, I don't. I want to see him do Roadhouse. I'm curious about that. But do you
Yeah,
think
I personally think Jake Gyllenhaal is actually better on stage than I do in film.
interesting. What did you see him do?
A play off Broadway that I cannot remember the name of. I saw him in Constellation, Seawall of
Mm.
Life, Sunday in the Park.
Hmm.
What else was it? When he did City Center's Little Shop of Horrors, where he
Oh
played.
wow.
Yeah, and
Okay.
he's actually coming back next year in Othello with Denzel Washington.
Yeah,
A very hard and expensive ticket to get.
yeah, boy's got some gusto. I could see it.
Mhm.
So
So
yeah, so those are the
personal preference.
what?
Personal preference.
Yeah,
But
but I
Roadhouse is out now on Amazon Prime, so you can watch it and see him beat up people.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I don't know. That was like my pull to the theater is more about the performance versus like some literary standpoint. Oh, this must be seen because it's this writer or that. I just I'm kind of like a I'm kind of comfortable in being like a civilian when it comes to not being an intellectual. I'm like,
It's, there's a lot of people out there like that. I mean, I don't have to see Cabaret again. I saw it the last revival 3 times because my old roommate and I went every time we there was a new Sally Bowles, but I'm going this time because of who's in the cast.
you know,
No,
it's a
and
live, I mean, yeah, it's a live experience. Like for me, that's like when I saw Denise Goff, I didn't know who she was, but
Mhm.
People Places Things. And then that same like within the same week or 2 weeks, I saw a different show at the Park Armory, which was getting rave reviews. And like I forget the female lead was fairly famous. I don't remember her name. And that show to me was I was so uninterested. And this show Denise Goff was in, I was just like I could feel what was happening from my seat. It was the only show I've ever or any only thing of entertainment I've ever done with my dad where he did not fall asleep the entire time. He was like entertained.
Yeah,
And so yeah, I don't know. Like when it comes to theater, that's the only thing to me that matters.
is the person.
Is the person. Yeah. I mean, and I'll see what's his name, the European dude. We did Scenes from a Marriage. Um, whatever, it doesn't matter. Sort of avant-garde director guy. And I saw a play he did on Broadway, and it was cool. And I was like, yeah, this is neat. Like, what great design. But like,
Mhm.
my rocks aren't rocked by that. Like, my
I'm
brain is
curious what
rocked.
you think of like Ivo von Hove
Literally,
Productions.
that's who I'm thinking of. Eva Van Hove.
Oh,
Yeah,
Ivo. Yeah, I keep
yeah, I believe Eva Van
butchering
Hove.
his name. Yeah, when I was in London, I actually saw his production of A Little Life twice. And I went,
Yeah, I mean, I've only seen two of his shows,
yeah,
and yeah, it was like pretty alive. And they both were like very ensemble driven. The one that I saw on Broadway was Mark Strong was in it, and he was great. But
you've
it was still like, what's that?
you from Bridge, it rained blood at the end.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Which was cool. And my friend Dave Register was in it. Um, and but at the end of the day, like I guess what I'm saying is like for like for live theater versus like I'll go see a film that's because of the director. Like that to me is like something that is very, I don't know, like that experience is experiential.
Hmm.
But at the end of the day in theater, it's the person who's on stage that is giving me an experience much more than the scenics and the direction of the play.
Yeah. Listen, to each his own. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day and in regards to theater, and I was saying that I've been seeing shows for over 30 years, and I think I'm just jaded now with everything because
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to find something new or people experience it differently. And I said, the last time I was kind of like shaken and I saw Prima Facie and it was exquisite and I didn't want to talk to anybody afterwards, but I still like I'm not it doesn't like come into my head every day like this other play I saw last year called like The Coast Starlight about and it was an ensemble piece about this train that goes from California to Seattle and
Mm,
like that show still sticks with me.
mm.
It's just very interesting. Are you trying to think of a train or a play or a movie that has affected you in a certain way?
I was just thinking about because I haven't been seeing that much theater, but when I was in New York, um, is it Tom Stoppard? He wrote the play about the Holocaust, about the family. It was last year.
With
It won.
oh my God, Leopoldstadt.
Yeah, Leopold. Yeah. Um, but what I was tracing back was like, what was the audience like after the show?
Yeah.
You know, and it didn't. It again, it felt like people were like, huh, well, it wasn't that interesting, you know, or. And sorry, just to say one more thing, like when I saw Denzel Washington, I think it was A Raisin in the Sun, or no, I can't remember what was the show he did. Not can't remember what it's called. But after the show, like he can't, everyone was just waiting to see him, and people literally like it was like a traffic jam. Like someone got hit by a car running across the street to just to touch him, you know. And it's like those two things, like idolatry of a human being and like intellectual examination of an experience. I both of those things I kind of am not interested in. And to me, like, so I don't know. It's I think not that I've given up on theater. I would totally like if someone wanted to pay me to direct a play or put me in one that I would have dreamed of doing, then like by all means I would just
And
do it.
we'll talk about your dream stuff, don't worry. But
Yeah. But it's like who gives a shit? If you're not stirred if I'm not stirred by it, then it honestly is a waste of time. And that goes across the board for everything.
it is different. Like I said, it's different for everybody. I mean, people are stirred by certain stuff. Like when I
Yeah.
saw, I mean, granted, I did not read the book A Little Life because
Yeah.
people call it trauma porn, and I bought it once and I started to read it, and I was like, I am not in the emotional headspace for this. But the things
Yeah.
that we were doing on stage, I was like, I've kind of seen this already. Like he's
Yeah.
slicing his arm open, and like you can see like how it's taped on him in the blood pack. And not to say that the show wasn't great, it just didn't affect me the way that it affected other people. I mean, granted, I did end up buying a ticket to see it again, but I think my favorite thing I saw in London was a musical called The Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
Yeah.
So to each its own.
Yeah. I don't even, yeah, honestly, this is a theater podcast, but like, I don't even know if I'm
We
interested in
can
theater.
talk about other things. I think I've said
Yeah.
like, I love talking theater, but I do want to have people on who like do more than theater. So that's why I
Yeah.
invited
Yeah.
you on. But sorry, continue.
No, I was just gonna say, like at this moment, I'm not sure. Like I'm not watching any TV shows. I haven't seen many movies. Generally once I get home from work, I like don't want to be on my phone or on a screen. So I'll like read and when I get up in the morning, like I go walk around. Like I've like I kind of I, I don't know. Like I was trying to read the other day. I was like, I just don't want to read actually. I'm just gonna like
But
be
you
here.
just
I
sit there and just be with your thoughts.
I mean, for whatever reason right now, I think I'm in that period. I think I'll push hard in one direction, then I definitely come back and
Mhm.
kind of release everything.
Do you listen to music? Like, what do you do when you're like, when we're done talking, whenever
Yeah.
that, what will you be doing with the rest of your day? It's raining in LA right now. So,
I'm doing spring cleaning,
oh, okay.
which is a stupid term, but I put Nirvana
It's great.
on.
That's
I put
great.
Nir Yeah, I put Nirvana on this morning at like 8:30, and I was just like, I'm gonna throw away, give away, and clean up this
Perfect.
little home.
Yeah. I have a studio apartment. You know how much shit I've gotten rid of over the years? Boxes and bags. And I still have more to get rid of. So I
Yeah,
get it. Yeah.
we've gone off track, I feel.
It happens. I told you it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you listen to Nirvana. So like you're in the like not doing anything zone. So what do you do? Let's say like you have to go film something like in 2 days and you're kind of in like your
Sure.
zen state of being off screens and like
Oh,
not like how does one who owns a production company whose main focus is that directing whatever you're doing,
yeah.
how do you get back into that?
I mean, it's like instantaneous, right?
Mhm. Well, I don't know. What do you do? For me, it would
Well,
be if I'm
I
not
would
doing.
say I'd here's why I say that, and there's two reasons. I remember acting in a back to that in a short film in Pennsylvania where I was
Mhm,
playing the lead in the short film, and I was a bit nervous because I was like, oh shit, I'm carrying this thing. And then pretty much whenever I thought about that, like my body would just know what to do. It's like lie down, rest, walk around,
mhm.
do 25 push-ups.
Yeah.
Whatever it was like the answer was pretty intuitive and pretty immediate and instantaneous.
Mhm,
And uh and then I did this 10-day silent meditation 2 years ago this June. And I remember walking around one day and like seeing something that was so beautiful. And I was like, my God, that bird. Then I thought of my grandfather at the past and I just started crying. And all of a sudden I looked down and I thought I'm crying. And then I started laughing at myself. And this is like within whether it was 30 seconds, but probably closer to like 6, 7 seconds, like these extreme emotions. And I'm
mhm,
not diagnosed as bipolar, but who knows? And I was like, oh, it's just like instantaneous. Like it doesn't take work. It just takes
mhm.
like stepping into the thing.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I think for me right now, I'm like, I don't want to force myself into things. I don't want to convince myself by suffering that it's real. I've only gotten there because I've earned it. Like that way of thinking that I was talking about earlier, that's very real. Like I'm not interested in that right now. I want to release that.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, and generally speaking, like just stepping into it and like locking in, talking to you. Okay. You know, before we started, I was like, oh God, I'm nervous about this, and oh shame, and start around these words, and then it's like, it just goes away. It just stops.
Yeah. I think it's also nervousness because it's what's they say about nervousness, like it's fear of the unknown. Like you make yourself crazy over something that's
Oh yeah. And I've been with someone in my life who has a lot of anxiety. Um, and I've seen it. I've like watched the stories and the reality. I'm doing quotes with my fingers. You can't see it because this is not a video, but it's an audio podcast. And it's like
please say
that.
that more like sarcastically. Audio podcast, you guys. Thank you, Craig.
No, but I'm talking the experience of like someone of what that kind of anxiety can separate you so far from like reality, like what's actually happening.
Yeah.
And then it's just it becomes stories. And look, I do that too. It's like part of the fun of storytelling is like you walk by someone, how do they get there? Let me tell the whole story. Like there's power in that. It's not anxiety is the wrong word. It's just one, it's like the catchword we use, but it's that propulsion you feel inside to do, and you have to. So I don't know. I'm now kind of so. What was your question?
I don't even remember.
But here's what I'll say, like that propulsion is always there. And the thought that like you have to be anxious or you have to like set a plan for like things to happen. For me in my life, to each their own, it's just not true.
Yeah.
And like if I convince myself that I have to do something, then I'm actually just wasting time working on, you know, myself instead of being in the world.
Yeah. I
I
think
say
it's,
if I sound I let me also say I feel like I sound like a total like a fucking like a little like a new what do they call that
new
new,
age.
new agey
Hippie.
TikToky talky podcasty thing, but for
I
what
don't listen, I don't have TikTok. Everything ends up on Instagram anyway.
good
So
good
yeah. And I literally posted the other day, I'm like, this is my new Roman Empire. Are people still doing that? And I have a friend who's like in her, she's younger than I am, and she's like, as a zillennial or G-zennial, whatever the fuck she called herself, she's like, people still say Roman Empire. So listen, at this
okay.
age, it is what it is. But yeah, the anxiety thing I get. I've slowly been dealing with that since like the end of January. So I'm just like,
Mm.
waiting for my health insurance to kick in so I can see a therapist.
Yeah, yeah, which is great and useful.
Oh my God, I think everybody needs to be in therapy. That's
Yeah,
big.
it's so yeah, me too. I yeah, I love it. I not that I do it all the time, but I do it in little blips and man, and it's fun. And it's also such an interesting way to meet somebody and like really get to know them. They get to know you, but you do get to know them by the way they get to know you. And
Oh
I
no,
like that.
I had to stop seeing my old therapist because she doesn't accept my new health insurance anymore. But like I knew she was the one for me when she told me that she had a Lego set of the Home Alone, like a Home Alone Lego set. And I was like,
Uh,
you and I are gonna work so well together. You don't
yeah.
no idea. I mean, I really want a Lego set of The Office, but I don't want to waste the money. And where would I put that in my apartment? Again, I live in a studio. It's
And also
mhm,
throw, Braille 360, like bad therapy is real. And there are people who think that they try to instill that you need them so that you can get better. And the same thing happens with acting teachers that I've seen. And so when I was teaching often, it was
mhm,
always like I used this little phrase that Fern Sloan, who was still around teaching Michael Chekhov, would say. She's like, work with yourself,
mhm.
work by yourself, work for yourself. And like that was part of the warm up. She would say that. And like that is very real. Like whatever you're doing, you are the one doing it. There happens to be a person through you're ricocheting things off of, but
Mhm.
they ain't doing it for you. And
Yeah.
if you think they are, then you got to take then you're starting a new fucking knot that you're gonna have to unravel.
Thank you for bringing it back to the conversation that we were actually having because we got off topic.
Yeah.
So, getting back to your production company, what are your hopes for the future for it?
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm sort of reevaluating. Well, the hopes of the future.
If you have any, again,
No,
we
no, I definitely
put
do.
that
I
pressure
definitely
on
do.
you. We don't want you to have the anxiety that you were
No,
just.
no. Oh, no, 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 no. None of that's happening at all. I like to do a lot of things. And like the hopes and dreams for me in my life would be that I get to work like more consistently in like the narrative space. So whether that's movies or TV, both it could be. But I also really like the feeling of doing something and also getting it done, like a commercial,
Yeah.
or even like just an event shoot. So like I feel like there would be a short um piece, basically a commercial production side of it too. And that's currently much more what I'm doing. And over the past few years, like even with how as it stands now, like that's what it was for. So like the dream would be like the number of people that I am close with and work with grows. So like the sort of dugout of people, the players on the team grows and grows and grows, which is very normal. Like, and not that I want to rep people like that to me isn't interesting, but um, just have folks have working relationships with people that fit any given project of any given scope would be really exciting. And I look forward to that when that time comes. Right now I'm working for a group and I'm learning a lot for sure and really enjoying it. Um, but at some point, whenever that is, get to own it again fully, you know,
Mhm.
uh, that'd be super exciting.
Well, don't you? I mean, I would assume that over the years you've built so many relationships already with people, writers, producers, directors, actors, what have you. Has
Yeah.
anyone reached out to you over the past few years or recently to work on something?
Yeah, I mean that happens all the time. I mean, different like the first thing I thought of was a friend, a director friend was making a short and he asked me to act in it.
Mhm.
Uh, and so I was like, cool. Like, and I ended up it's online, it's on IMDb, it's not released, but I played the 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 hippie boyfriend to a young Korean woman and her Korean parents. And I go in the woods and I teach them how to hunt.
They were going to say like take ayahuasca or something. But
Yeah. Well, it was like sort of like get back to the earth, get the ways of the earth, like, you
mm,
know, bring it. But that came not from auditioning or anything, just came from like a friendship and living, getting to know people. And I'm in an actor studio now, like once a week,
oh,
because like I just needed a place to like feel like I'm experimenting and growing and playing, mostly playing. Uh,
so
so
talk
like
about this actor studio that you're in right now. How did you get involved with that?
yeah, I've done different places in LA. This one's called Berg Studios, and there's a woman, I mean, this woman, Cam is her name. Um, I'm in her class, and she's just so lovely. Speaking about someone who loves so much what she's doing. Like it's instantaneous. You just feel it. You're like, yeah, I want to be here with you. Like you've spent your life doing this, and not a moment. There's never a moment in that room where I think to myself, she doesn't want to be here. I'm like, this is the only place she wants to be right now.
Mhm.
That is like that's a dream, to work with people like that.
Yeah. So do you want to talk more about the actor studio that, or you just, is it acting classes that you're doing?
Yeah, yeah, acting classes. I'm just an actor performer in there, just with like I don't know, probably 15 other people or so, 16 other people. Um, yeah, and you do a scene for 3 weeks, and then you switch, you find someone new, and it's just I don't know, it's just fun to play.
Yeah.
There's not much. I mean, I'm happy to talk about it, but like that to me is again like right brain, left brain. I was pre-med and I was also doing film studies and theater studies.
Mm.
Like now working like corporate America job producing and dealing with very TikTok mechanical things and making sure stuff happens and gets done and then cast it all away and go fully into this like explorational expressive. My arms are moving everywhere, people who are listening.
Again, because this isn't quote unquote audio podcast.
Yeah. Is anybody out there? Can you feel what's happening
Here.
here?
They can maybe
Uh,
they can feel it through whatever device they're listening to, you flailing your arms about like the wavy
yeah,
waving flairly arms guy,
yeah, yeah.
those blow up things. Oh, yeah. So do you, that's like a good way for you because you're zen in your everyday life, but then you get to
Mm.
go and play and work corporate America and do all those things pretty much.
Yeah. Oh my God. Exactly. Yeah. And to do all the things.
Mhm.
See, it's yeah. I don't. Some people like my parents are. Who knows? They're I'm sure complex people, but they sort of found a way to live and a job and a routine. And like I'm all about that, like discipline, but
Mhm.
within it, like you know,
Doesn't
again,
work.
like it's like acting terms. Like what's the ceiling? What's the floor? Like how
Mhm.
can you like actually fill it? You
Mhm.
know?
Yeah.
Uh, so
Yeah, listen, that type of life isn't for everybody, and some people it works for, and some people it doesn't. And it
yeah.
doesn't work for you, and that's fine.
Where are you in all this?
What do you
Where do you
mean?
fit? You have
That's an off podcast conversation, good sir.
I'll be in New York April 12th, the 12th and 13th. A short film I made is going to be screened publicly for the first time, so you should come by.
Yeah, I will have to let you know a day because my friend and I are trying to see Eddie Izzard and Hamlet.
Oh,
So it's
sure.
going to be one of those days. So,
Okay, cool.
like, not to be that person or anything. Like,
Go to Eddie Izzard on the 13th and come hang out in Brooklyn on the 12th.
oh, it's in Brooklyn.
It's in Williamsburg, but yes.
Well, no, I only say that because I'm claustrophobic and I don't take the subway.
Great. Pay for a cab.
Oh, are you going to pay for it? Thank you.
Yeah, we'll split it.
Perfect. We'll figure it
Mark my
out.
words.
Um, what's the short film about?
Um, yeah, it was December, it was November of 2022. And I called a friend named Michael Berenger, and we know each other well. We work together a lot. And I was like, I'm gonna make a movie by the end of the year. He was like, this is November. And he was like, okay. He's like, what do you think? And I was like, I have no idea. What do you think? He's
Hmm.
like, so I was like, well, let's just set like we'll talk for 3 hours today. We'll do it again in a few days.
Yeah.
I think we'll get something.
Mhm.
And so 2 weeks later, we had a script from
Yeah.
nothing. And
Sorry, it just like that's reminding me of a clip I saw of a Q&A with Stephen Colbert, how like somebody asked him like, I want to be like a late night talk show host.
yeah.
And he was talking about how him and his friends said something like, let's create like chaos together or something.
Mhm.
And they would just like start making stuff, whether or not it was good or bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, yeah, if you actually stick with it, then that's always the beginning of it, no matter what. And we just like compressed the process and made it happen really fast.
Mhm.
Um, I would say we, because Michael was like, okay, I'll do this with you. And I was like, we're doing it, you know. And
Yeah.
so we ended up, that was November. We ended up with this thing 2 weeks later, which is like probably mid-November. And then on December 5th or so of that year, we we shot at a studio in Atlanta where I grew up. I had a production company who EP'd it, so we got the space for free. We got some gear for free. A friend of mine who I've known since I was 12 DP'd it, and he brought on his guys. And then I brought an actor from New York named Ed Malone who had worked with in plays. There's two gals I did plays with at Emory. There was two kids who I knew in high school who had never acted before who played small roles. We brought some locals in to play local professional actors in Atlanta to fill it out. So I think it was like a cast of like 12 people, an ensemble, and we shot it in a day and a half. And it's a 11 and a half minute movie, I think. Um, and it was basically done, like a month and a half after conceiving of it or having like tabula rasa, like zero.
Yeah.
And then we spent like 8 months making music.
There you go.
And now it's going to screen for the very first time
Can you
on
say what
April
it's
12th.
about, or do people like
Oh, yeah.
you just be like, come to my screening in Williamsburg that I'm forcing Allison to go to on the
No, no,
12th?
no, it's usual. I think it's no, no, like the creative, like how it happened was like Michael's like, okay, let's talk. Like, what are the parameters? And I was like, well,
No, I want like, what is the actual story
no, I
of?
know. I'm going to tell you.
Okay,
I promise.
sorry. Okay,
I'm just long-winded. Is that all right?
that's fine.
Just tell me if I get boring, then
No,
you have to
please
stop it.
I'm falling asleep already. It's fine. No, we joking. No, you're
No
fine. Go
one, no
ahead.
one's actually gonna get to this point. That's okay. So then we can do whatever we want.
Nobody listens to the podcast anyway. You're fine. Go ahead.
You're right. That's not true. The we set parameters in writing of it. So we were
Mm,
like, what do we want to do? It's like, okay, let's do it in Atlanta. Okay. What's Atlanta got going on? It's like, okay, well, there's a studio space I think we get access to. Okay, so maybe we'll shoot there. What do we want to do in a studio? So again, well, what's going on in Atlanta? So then we were thinking about politics because literally there was about to be a runoff election. And
mm,
then I was like, oh yeah. I was like, I went to school with John Ossoff. We played baseball together. And Michael was like, oh, that's funny. And Michael's like this pretty political type dude who had a sort of revolutionary type past or interest. And had sort of similar roots. And so we started exploring that. And then we started writing more about that. And then we started talking about things that were going on. And, during COVID, there were like marches at Stone Mountain, which is a Confederate mountain. And it was like, like white rights groups and black rights groups and everyone with guns yelling at each other. I mean, was all happening. And a friend of mine who ended up DPing it was there shooting for another friend's feature film, which just got finished. This guy, Dylan. And so we just started generating thoughts around that. And so we did sort of like, okay, I happen to be like a half Jewish, half Christian guy who looks a little bit like John Ossoff. And so we were like, why don't we make it about a young politician in Atlanta running for Congress, which he did before he ran for Senate and he lost. And he's running in a place that's got like a kind of, conservative stronghold. We based it on a very real place. And the person I was running against is actually the guy that uh, is elected currently.
mm.
And so, Barry Laudermilk. I mean, what a fucking great name. And so
I don't know. I kind of like the last name Taxi still. Molly Taxi. That's a great one.
also fantastic. Yeah. And so
I
then we
hope she
wrote this
kept the
thing.
last name. You said she's married. I hope she kept it.
It's a good question. I think she did.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so it's about this guy who's running for office in this type of place, and then some information about his past comes out. Hint,
Mm.
hint. Michael and I both have this kind of revolutionary past, and he's got to deal with it. Um, and that's the whole thing. That's the prompt. That's the setup.
Very nice. Looking forward to it now. When is it? When am I going now? April 12th?
Brooklyn Art House, this place in Williamsburg that is run by two guys, one of whom is Isaac Bush, who I used to make theater with at the Circle Theater Company in New York, I think he called it. We would make these devised pieces. I think the last one we did went up at Here Arts, but now he runs Brooklyn Art House, which is this really cool spot. And I'm like, he told me, he was like, when you come and you have a new film, I want to be the first one to put it up. I want to be able to do that for you here in New York. And so it's officially has its world premiere at the New Hope Film Festival in Pennsylvania on Saturday, April 13th. But for friends and family, it's going to be on the 12th at Brooklyn Art House.
I'll have to text my friend to tell her I can only see Hamlet now on the 13th.
Yeah.
Wah.
Wah, wah, wah. All right.
Do you have, I know we talked about it a little bit, but we can also bring movies into this because
Yeah.
I always talk about top going theater experiences for
Yeah.
myself. But I mean, for me, like screen performances in my mind will always be like Timothy Chalamet and Call Me by Your Name, Natalie
Mm.
Portman in I'm brain farting on the name of Jackie, and Michelle Williams as Gwen Verdon and Fosse Verdon. So like those three screen performances for me, but I talk about theater all the time as well. But do you have any theater and or film slash television experiences that
I
like
mean,
stick with
yeah.
you?
I feel like it changes as I get older, but the one I mentioned, Denise Goff, People, Places, Things, for sure. Um,
You didn't get to see her in Angels in America, did you?
no. Mm-mm. And let's see. What's oh gosh, sorry, my ability to pull names right now. There's a movie called I Loved You So Long, which is also partly in French, or maybe it's fully in French. And that performance, uh, this is going to sound funny, but also I don't think it's funny because you identify with people that you recognize yourself in. And so, like as a male actor, I would typically watch men acting and kind of be like, oh, I could do that, or that's really inspiring. But that movie was the first one I saw where she was doing something, and I was like, wow. I was like, this she's doing something that I'm so like I feel myself inside of, or like would love to be. I'm blanking her name. She's in Fleabag for a moment. She's in an episode. Older woman, three names, speaks French. It's not Marcia Gay Harden, something else. Um, sorry, I
I
don't
mean,
have
I
my
can't
phone.
think back to Fleabag. As you
There's a
can,
scene in a bar where Fleabag sits with her, and she's I
yeah,
think
no, it's, why can't I think of names now? I see her face. Can talk amongst yourselves. I'm gonna Google that. See, this is what I do now. I Google.
that's two. Yeah, but that woman, that role that I saw her do, I mean, obviously every time she's really stunning. But that one sticks with was like a transition moment in my life. And the other role like that was Gina Rollins in A Woman Under the Influence.
Mm.
John, because I was like, oh, I love John Cassavetes movies. I'm like, yeah, art. And then I saw that one, I was like, oh, okay, John Cassavetes,
Is it Kristen Scott Thomas?
Scott Thomas.
Okay.
Yeah. And Gina Rollins, Woman Under the Influence. So those are a few. And then I I just somehow ran into like Leonardo DiCaprio talking about doing Gangs of New York with Daniel Day-Lewis.
Mhm.
And for many moons, that performance as Bill the Butcher was one that I was really like I just was
What
in awe
about
of.
Sean Penn and Milk?
Yeah, I don't know. There's something it was it was definitely beautiful. I saw Sean Penn when he was directing Into the Wild because I went to Emory and the graduation scene was actually shot while I was there.
Okay.
And I don't know why. I mean, yeah, there was something about him as a man, like when I saw him in real life, I was like I I don't know. I was like, do I trust you? There's something about you that's like pretty dark.
I think Sean Penn has that effect on many people.
Yeah. Just like there's a real, I mean, he's got depth, he's got power, but there's also like darkness is what it felt like. So there's something, I mean, his performances are great. So yeah, in Milk. And that's like probably the sweetest, most honey drippy one that he's ever done.
Yeah. I just say that because I remember, again, I have a good memory and I just came to me as well. When I did a show in college, you came to see it and
Mm.
you were like, I saw Milk. And then you went to see the movie again, like right after the show that I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's,
Well,
you know
yeah.
what, that's what people did in their early 20s. So you
Yeah.
see things multiple times.
It's funny, like I don't remember doing that. But I do remember when I think of that movie, I think of like the ensemble of people. And even the character that ends up playing the lead in Into the Wild was in that.
Yeah.
Whereas
Emil Hirsch. God damn it. Why can't I think of names now? Yeah. Emil Hirsch. Yeah.
yeah, and I remember what he did in that movie very well. And some other actors that I hadn't imagined doing what they were doing. And it was like everyone was kind of that's what happens, right? It's like everyone rises to the level that's being asked of you. Like back to acting studios and theater, like back when he's now since passed, but I was in Win Handman's studio and I think he was 92 years old when he was teaching when I was there and sharp, just so sharp, so knowledgeable, treated everyone as a unique artist. So like his language was built in a way so that you could hear it, so that it could affect you and affect change in you, which I was like, this is teaching. This is actually teaching. This is not messianic, like whatever. I am the Messiah. Listen. It's like, no, it's real.
Mhm.
And everyone brought their best, you know, to like meet him because he cared passionately about what he was doing. So I assume on something like Milk, now that I'm remembering more of it, it felt like that, like where everyone was like, this matters.
Yeah. Do you have any dream roles or projects that you would like to do?
Um, I don't know, like no, I used to. I did a version of Hamlet when I lived in New York called HMLT. All the soliloquies were pulled out.
Mhm.
So it's just action.
I just, there's so much Hamlet. Like I haven't, close your ears if you saw Hamlet this summer, past summer. I have seen three productions of Hamlet and I have yet to like,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I used to carry that book around because I was like, this is a dream role. I want to play it. And when
Oh,
I was,
Hamlet's fucking amazing. I just
yeah.
like have yet to see a Hamlet where I'm just like, Maybe
Yeah.
Andrew Scott's Hamlet that I can watch. And funnily enough, that was actually my first time in London 7 years ago for my boop boop birthday. That was playing there. And I said to my friend, I'm like, I just cannot sit through another production of Hamlet. But if I knew then what I knew now, we would have seen Hamlet because it was fucking Andrew Scott as Hamlet.
Mm. So
And
you
sorry, go ahead.
is that exist anywhere in video, or like does Ben Wishaw's Hamlet in its entirety exist anywhere?
I don't know if his is. Like I said, I know that Andrew Scott's is somehow on YouTube, and the guy, what's his face? Luke Thompson, who's like well known for Bridgerton, played Laertes, and
Mm.
another actress whose name I can't think of right now, who
Horse
is on
pathetic.
Downton Abbey and all that stuff. She was Ophelia,
Oh
and
yeah.
Juliet Stevens was his mother.
Nice.
It had a pretty fantastic. They actually brought that production to the Armory, I think, a year or two ago.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't really have dream roles, but
Or dream projects. It doesn't necessarily
yeah,
have to be a
I
role.
like I set out to make two shorts that I directed and acted in
Mhm,
uh past few years, and it was really fun. It was like so deeply enjoyable. You
mhm.
know, when you're doing something, you're like, this is where I'm supposed to be,
Yeah.
which was great. And so, I'd love to feel more of that and have the chance to, and like my style, the things I'm making are like I talked about, it was like ensemble pieces in this kind of dramedy space.
Mhm.
Um, like I would love to do that more and have, I mean, I generated obviously with a lot of people, those projects.
Mhm.
Uh, but to be able to do that again, and on a bigger scale with more people would be
What's
super.
stopping you?
I think it's probably just creating the right project and then building the right team.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then once it'll be a feature for sure. It'll be a feature film. And then we'll see where that one leads to next.
All right.
But
Perfect. Yep.
yeah.
Ready for the actor studio question? Speaking of working in an actor studio.
Were you at the actor studio when I went and saw Josh Brolin?
No, so you went to one?
So I went to the Josh Brolin one, yeah.
I don't remember. I just remember someone we both know was really late to one that I invited them to, and I was very mad that they were late. And yeah. No, I worked at the theater
Yeah.
that they filmed Actor Studio at. So
He was great.
yeah, I did
I
not watch that one.
I didn't expect it at all. But
Uh,
again, someone who's also spent time in no longer, but in the theater, we're like in the space, like this is a talk show, but like I remember at some point he was talking and everyone leaned in.
yeah.
And it was like, man, what a unique experience.
Yeah, there are a lot of really good actor studios and some like you wouldn't even expect were to be good. Like I remember Daniel Radcliffe's was actually really good and
Mm.
Ray Fiennes had I don't remember all of it, but I remember he had a really good Q&A. And I
Yeah.
Conan O'Brien, so that was like a really special one for me. And the Matt Damon one was special because I got to ask him a question and I ended up on television. So
Oh, cool. I'll have to watch it.
if you can find it, I don't know where you can find these things. Okay. Now let's like I don't look like James Lipton. I don't sound like him, but we're gonna do these anyway. I'll try and be as like prolific sounding as possible. Are you ready, Craig Newman?
I'm so ready, and I have no idea what's gonna happen next. I'm ready.
Okay, great. What is your favorite word?
Love,
What is your least favorite word?
hate, shit. That's so lame. I was just,
It
I
could
was
be
like, oh,
whatever you want it to
I
be.
know. I didn't want to think about it, and but it started riffing. Um,
I have more than one, so you can whatever you want it to be. There are no rules. Whatever you
okay,
want it to be.
I'm gonna go with cantankerous.
Cool. What turns you on?
Life itself when it's happening. Um, I can't go back on any answers. I gave two to one, but I can't go back. It's live. Fuck it, it's live. Let's do it live.
Okay. What turns you off?
Sluggishness.
What? is your favorite curse word?
I mean, it's just got so many consonants in it. Cocksucker. It's not a bad thing, you know. May we all do all the things that give us joy.
Sure. What sound or noise do you love?
It's sequentially a fucked up series of questions, particularly if you answer them the way I am. Well, I'm listening right now and I got really quiet and you can hear like it's like the sound of wind, but it's like the deep sound of wind. It's not
Mm,
like the leaves rustling. It's like it's almost like it's similar to the sound of like an ocean tide, but it's in the air.
okay. What sound or noise do you hate?
Teeth hitting teeth, particularly if I'm hungry and I'm listening to someone chewing like that.
Got it. What profession other than yours would you like to attempt?
These questions are so fun because it's just like a fun exercise. I was imagining like there's people whose job it is to like do like monster truck racing and like jumping. That's someone's life. I mean, that must be crazy and awesome. So I would like to try that.
You know, all my years of doing this, I always tell people like I don't know why I pretend to do a cigarette. I don't even smoke, but
Yeah.
I've never heard that, and I've never even thought of it in that way.
Hmm.
Yeah. What profession would you not like to do?
Assistant principal at a elementary, middle, or high school. All those, no.
Okay. I feel like we need to get into that, but we'll move on. If heaven, and finally, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
You did your best. I don't want that tone, but I would like those words.
What should the tone be?
Mm, I don't know. I can't, but the definitely the eyes are on fire, you know.
Oh,
There's
so you're in hell, not heaven?
I think there's a little bit of I think the way I imagined
Yeah.
it, they go together.
The Good Place?
The Good Place. Yes.
I did not watch that series, but I've heard about it.
Mm,
Yeah. And as Mr. Lipton would say, since I'm pretending to be him
yeah.
and you're your students, maybe like, hi, my name is so and so. I'm a first year, whatever. Yeah. How is that? So let's like go with it. So why not like so not assistant, but you would want to be a principal? Like where
No,
do you
no. It's there's something
family?
about assistant principals. There's something about being in second place where you actually are not in power at all, and you're actually like, um, but but and you have to deal with all the stuff, but not have any of the benefits.
Hmm.
Like that to me is kind of some version of like, you know, no exit, like hell. Like,
So when Beelzebub says to you, whatever it is you just said that I can't remember now, you did your best.
yeah.
Here's your job down in wherever you end up. You're an assistant principal.
But then I think I would laugh because I'm like, oh, really?
I think we just figured out your next short, Craig. We're gonna have the t-shirt that says like this is really socks, and the socks that said these are really t-shirts. And
Yeah.
that's what everybody in hell wears
Yeah.
while you're assistant principaling.
Yeah.
Boom, we figured out your next short.
Yeah. What a weird reality. I'm sure that's my everyday life somehow, and tomorrow I'll understand exactly how.
Yeah. And then you'll write about it, and then you'll get and then you'll turn it into a feature film.
This
So
is a must. These
yeah.
things must be turned into big projects where we get to work with, play with all the people we want to
And for
hang
those
with.
listening, because this is an only audio podcast, he just did air quotes again. Yeah.
I hope I'm the most contemptuous, you know, new age,
I've
lost
had.
we've had on yet. Would you say douchebag?
I did not say douchebag. I said guest. I would never call you a douchebag to your face. Um, unless I got to know you a little bit better, because again, we haven't seen each other in so many eons. But
Good.
yeah, well, maybe when I see you on the 12th with this, reading this movie I just got roped into to seeing,
Yeah.
when you buy me a drink after from schlepping from Manhattan to Williamsburg,
Yes,
I'll
come before.
and before I'll be like, thank you for my douchebaggy drink.
Yes, say it loudly so the bartender can hear, and we want to see the reactions.
Oh, I live in Manhattan.
Live out
It
loud.
will happen.
Good.
No filter. I do have a filter sometimes, but yes. So before we end, is there anything you'd like to add? Any questions, problems, concerns, life advice, flailing arm man stuff that I'm now doing?
It's I was so pleased when I got your email, and
Yeah.
also so shocked, and also so scared for some reason. And
Do I put like the fear in life into people?
when you're asked, look, some people do this all the time. I think I've done one other filmmaking podcast a few years ago where we talked about it, and I just thought, should I do this? Can I do this? Will I do this? But so what a sweet bit of time I get to spend with you, and I am very happy that the worst part of me didn't stop me from doing it because this is really fun. So thank you.
Of course. Thank you for doing it. I appreciate it. And your email was very sweet. And you're like, oh, the future isn't done with this yet. I'm like, that's adorable. So thank you. You can stay on once I'm done recording. So
Okay.
anything else? So if people want to watch this film, where can they learn about it?
Yeah, I'll send you some links here,
Something
but
fell, so please talk while I pick it up.
yeah, the if you're listening to this now, April 12th at Brooklyn Art House, HAUS,
Mhm.
spot over in Williamsburg. It'll be a really fun group of people. We're going to screen three films that night. Mine, uh, Annie Tipp, who's a New York theater director and also becoming a filmmaker. She is a filmmaker, and
Mhm.
another guy named Austin Case, who has a short that's making a lot of festival rounds. We'll see all three films, and friends and family of these different people who aren't friends with each other will all come and hang out. So I think hopefully it's like a
Community.
bacchanalia of people.
Yeah, Bacchanal. Who's gonna
Yeah.
have the wine and the naked women dancing around?
If we are so lucky, then we'll all just become those.
Getting very like Greek and Roman right now because I'm
Yeah,
picturing like that wing in the Met.
Roman empires, curly hair.
Oh yeah, yeah. Now I'm just like envisioning the Roman and Greek statue section in the Met.
I love touching them. They don't let you, but I did it once.
Oh, you did? Actually, I
Mhm.
went to the Met a few months ago with a friend and she touched something and I yelled at her. So it's like you can't
You just
touch.
need it. You need to feel it.
Yeah.
You need to feel
Just
it.
it was, but no, it was like it was in the American wing, like when you exit a certain place where like nobody's there and like the food section's there.
Yeah.
I can see it in my head. I'm not good at describing it. And there was just like this statue type thing, and she just touched it. And I was like, you're not, don't touch it. Like, it's art.
Okay, mom.
How dare you? Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on. For those who are listening, check out Craig and Co. And that's it. All right. I'm gonna stop recording.